Okay, look, I was kind of an idiot getting in contact with you, John. I mean, I tried Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace. Honestly, I probably missed a few, but I'm sorry, man. You probably saw the messages and was like, how am I doing, Jim? I mean, you gotta give me credit where credit is due. I mean, I did say I would invade your personal life, so there is at least some competency there. You're just never on MySpace anymore. Anyways, won't happen again. Promise. The Devil Wears Prada. So The Devil Wears Prada is written by Alain Brosh McKenna and is based off of the novel by Lauren Weisberger. It's directed by David Frankel. Woo-wee! One writer, one director. That's a good sign. It stars Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. So here it is. I had the privilege of briefly messaging with John Krasinski from SGN, or Some Good News. That is his new YouTube channel. Be sure to go check it out if you want to hear some good news. And this is John's favorite movie, and it is an honor to dedicate this review to positivity in our communities, COVID-19 victims, SGN, and both John and his lovely wife, Emily Blunt. Obviously, it would be shameful if I didn't. So how will I dedicate this review to positivity in troubling times? Well, it's a fantastic film that is also John Krasinski's favorite movie. I mean, this is a review that was clandestine to exude positivity. And as for COVID-19 victims, those who are inflicted, those who have lost loved ones, those who are at risk at losing loved ones, I would like to help by doing this next bit to make a point. It's the best I can do. Okay. People of the communities, you touch your face more than I touch my face in my reviews, which is a lot, unintentionally. You don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. So, I'm going to put paint on my fingers. Ooh. Ah. Right. Do not do this at home, kids. It's a Clorox nightmare. Now, this is a big deal for me, because I'm really OCD, and I'm going to end up looking like a lunatic by the end of this review. But I'm doing this for all of you COVID-19 victims out there that need some laughter in your lives, so good luck to me. I'm going to look ridiculous, but I'm going to regardless do my review as normal. Black on my left, red and blue on my right. That way by the end of the review, you'll know how ambidextrous I am. Not at all, actually. I'm going to end up looking like William Wallace from Braveheart. And as for John and Emily, this is for you. Also, John, The Office is one of my all-time favorite shows. And no, I'm not just saying that to suck up. Totally said it in my Quiet Place review. Let's see, where is it? Ah, there you go. Also, The Office, possibly my favorite show, starring one of my favorite characters. You see, not lying. By the way, I was totally wrong about the end of that review. The end of the movie. Don't believe me? Here you go. Let me see. Ah, here we go. God, the first part of this movie I reviewed, and I missed something kind of important, and I judged the movie pretty harshly because of it. I rewatched it, and that thing that was bugging me was completely... Whoops! I think we've established that I'm an honest gent. Speaking of which, here we go. Characters. Oh no, it got on my tongue! This is gonna be bad. Okay, let's start with our protagonist, Andy. She's really good. I've always been interested in that idea of characters, you know, changing appearance, but still retaining their same character traits. It then prompts the audience to pay closer attention to Andy's character because they're now constantly waiting for that time where Andy changes because of her appearance. For better or for worse. I really liked how they pulled it off in this movie. I mean, she's a pretty three-dimensional character as protagonists come. And the changes in her character, they're really subtle. There are these little moments that you may or may not notice that really tell you what kind of character she is and may tip you off on what's to come, aka
foreshadowing.
But these moments are quiet enough that they don't compromise the experience, and they don't make us feel stupid. Also, I am totally Andy, because when Meryl Streep's character is telling Andy where to go and what to do, it's like, I need 10 to 15 skirts from Calvin Klein. Oh, and tell Pier 59 to be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And make sure to call Jocelyn about Marcus and if he's going to be doing those satchels and the pony. And make sure to contact Simone and let him know that if Maggie can come with me, that'd be great. Otherwise, Jackie can come. Did the Monsieur confirm? Yeah. No, but how many ponies? Literally the same thing happened to Andy. We're the same person. That or Meryl Streep is just all kinds of business. Yeah, this movie might have the second best villain-ish intro ever. Second only to Shredder and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Meryl Streep's character, Miranda, isn't the type of person that really has to say anything. She just has to look at you and you're like, yeah, put the shoes on, honey. Also, she is the most astoundingly beautiful 60-year-old I've ever seen. Compliments to Meryl Streep. And Emily. Her contrast with Andy was perfect. The faces she makes, her smirks, the banter she has with Andy. It's so entertaining. It's like every snarky insult from Emily is like a tennis ball hitting Andy's head.
You mess up if you mess up. Andrea.
Clearance bin, however.
And then there's Stanley Tucci's character, Nigel. You know, he's that rare top dog that, like, you know, knows everything and he'll tell you how it is, and at the same time make you feel good about yourself. It's weird, and I love him. And then there's the boyfriend that's super likable-ish and that stands in the way of the protagonist. Ugh, you know the whole bit. I mean, even Hallmark has a restraining order against him. Same thing with the friends. You know, honestly, they kind of pissed me off a couple of times. Their over-the-top narrative essentiality is pretentious. Like they're just there to push the end of the second act protagonist low. But I'll consider it a compliment to the film. This is what happens when you surround subpar characters with the best. And I'm actually okay with the boyfriend. I mean, as Hallmark boyfriends come, he could have been worse. And that I consider to be a feat. Acting. Okay. So I said I'd be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of Anne Hathaway's acting. Ugh, I feel dirty saying that because I know that you're friends with her, Emily. But that's to say nothing about her as a person. I'm sure that she's freaking awesome. Send her over to the channel sometime. And here's the honest truth. There's paint on my face. Anyway. But in all seriousness, Anne, she was awesome in this movie. I had almost no issues with her in this movie. And I am so glad that this movie exists just for that. We can all use some humbling sometimes. Time to refill. Now, we've come to... I mean, come on. I mean, you can't deny it. Meryl Streep has that quality. She's that actress that without fail just nails it. And this is easily my favorite performance from her. Hey, guess what? Emily Blunt is in this movie. And she plays Emily. Did that confuse you, or did it make things easier? Did it throw the others off too? I mean, Meryl plays Miranda, Anne plays Andy, and Emily plays Emily. I mean, these are things to think about. Emily and Emily were awesome, respectively. And Stanley Tucci, come on! Okay, I did that on purpose. Oh my gosh, does Stanley Tucci have that quality too? I just want to hang out with Stanley Tucci. Not Meryl Streep though, I'd poop my pants. If she's anything like the character in this movie. I know, she's not actually like that. I would totally invite her to my party. Okay, something that's been bugging me. Where have I seen that guy? The guy who partners with Stanley Tucci's character. Oh yeah, Daniel Sinjata. He's in The Dark Knight Rises for a little while. Then he dies. That's morbid. Oh, and that guy from Pam's Art School is in the movie. You still jealous, Jim? Dialogue. The dialogue is flawless, but there's really only one part that I'll really remember. I'll elaborate on the context of this in the morale section, but there's an exchange between Andy and Nigel near the end that just floored me. It involves someone not getting a position that was promised to them, but then still sticking around for more abuse. Folks, I know who you are, and I know you're out there. If you're in this position, pun intended, get out. Story. The plot in this movie is all about driving a point home. Another thing we'll talk about in the moral section, but as a compliment to the story, this movie remains very competent in what it is trying to accomplish. And it's bold, too. For instance, Miranda is very authoritative and uncompromising as a boss. Always asking for multiple things at once and then wanting them right away. The funny thing is that Meryl Streep will do this in such a way that you will love her character against all odds. How do you do that? Anyway, she asks for the impossible, and this movie insists on putting the impossible against our protagonist. I love that the movie literally picks the most daunting tasks for our protagonist to accomplish. A Harry Potter transcript before publication. What? Are you insane? Next to sending someone on a quest to find the Holy Grail, this is literally the most difficult thing on this planet you could have ever asked for. And here's what makes it worth it. When Andy not only gets it, but then makes multiple copies and delivers them to who they need to be delivered to before Miranda even thinks to request it. Streep just got streeped! The most impossible task just paid off 1,000-fold. Best win ever. And you feel it. The movie is also very maniacal on when and where certain scenes are placed. For instance, when Anne Hathaway goes from looking like Animal from the Muppets to looking like Emily Blunt from The Devil Wears Prada, I was totally expecting her to show up the very next first day and have this aha moment with Miranda. But that would not have been true to Miranda's character, or Andy's for that matter. Miranda's not gonna notice right away. Instead, it's implied that Andy had been dressing like this for a while now, days even, before Miranda even noticed. And when she does notice, instead of being like, yeah, put the shoes on, honey, it was more like, I need those shoes. Much more powerful. Yes, of course, not every story is perfect. I mean, there are some plot drivers and some forced expository stuff, like what I said about the friends, but it's pretty inconsequential. The ending of this movie is also pretty ambiguous, and I'm sure has polarized some audiences. But I really liked it. It's very character driven and not plot driven. And it successfully does this in a very realistic way rather than forcing some happily ever after. It's not bleak by any means. There's hope there. It just wasn't lazy.
Predictability.
It was awesome. Big surprise ending. Won't ruin it for you.
No, go ahead.
Meryl Streep is the bad guy. You never see it coming.
Like I said, a little more ambiguous than that, but Michael's on the right track. This movie has a very Dawn of the Planet of the Apes type way of surprising you, where it's sprinkled throughout the movie, but unlike Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, this movie has a wallop at the end that is sure to surprise both humans and apes alike. The moral section has almost everything to do with this, so let's segue.
Moral.
This movie has a lot of lessons in it, but the one that stuck out the most was its explicit message on its distaste for corporate types. What are corporate types? Cutthroat, greedy, self-important executives. They're all over the place. I won't elaborate because I could go on for hours, but I will say this. These types of people are easily at the top of my naughty list. I hate what they do. And what this movie does is it challenges its audience to think inward about how much like them we can be. Unintentionally, of course. I may hate corporate douchebags, but I love when a movie challenges me like this. I love movies that make you think, and this movie does it so well. I also think that it's worth mentioning that this movie is very empowering to women, and even goes so far as to suggest that if Miranda was a man, would we be complaining about how callous she is? Good on you, 2000s. Guys, this is a fantastic movie. It was a great pick, John, no pun intended. I really only didn't like a couple of plot drivers with the friends, but it's just not enough to weigh this movie down. I'm putting it at number 83. We did it. Oh my gosh, I do look like William Wallace. That was fun, guys. Oh, the lesson is don't touch your face. That's the lesson. Don't touch your face. So The Devil Wears Prada. I think that pretty much everybody should watch this movie. It's pretty clean and fun, and it has some pretty positive and powerful messages. Speaking of positivity, I hope I was able to bring some positivity under such stressful circumstances. I mean, look at my face. Look at me. You think I'm joking? You think... Anyways, thank you, John, for this opportunity to review your favorite movie. Emily, I hope that I did you justice, and please tell me what your favorite movie is. It would be my absolute honor to dedicate it to you. When this is all over, for SBN, some bad news, I'd be happy to do your least favorite movies. That reminds me, guys, don't forget to check out SGN, Some Good News, John Krasinski's new YouTube channel. It is sure to put a huge smile on your face. On that note, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell on the side, and I will see you next time on MovieSlayer.